What's the deal, everybody? Thanks for tapping in with your boy. It's Savage Studios. Smash that like button if you like this video. Today we talking about a crazy story that I was a part of. Me and my celly went at it with the C.O'S. It's probably one of the crazier events that I went through in prison because I got my butt whooped. I got stomped out, dislocated shoulder, choked and gagged on pepper spray. My celly got even worse. He got big old gash in his head. They had to staple his head. All this came from C.O.s, from correctional officers. Did we have it coming? Possibly. You could say we did. I'll let you be the judge of that at the end of this video. Don't comment on this stain right here. I don't know what the hell it is. Or comment on the stain right here. Person with the funniest comment right here, I'm gonna pin your comment. So tell me what the hell this is. Anyhow, look, y'all, if you ain't subscribed to the channel, wait, hold up. First off, we hit 30K. We passed 30K. I want to say thanks to all my subscribers, all my viewers, to everybody, even all the haters. I couldn't do this without y'all. I could not be where I'm at without my loyal and my faithful haters. Please stay on your job, man. Stay on your job. But anyways, so let's get into this. Let's get into the story. Subscribe to the channel, y'all. Hit that bell notification so you can be notified of further content that your boy's putting out. Okay, so this was actually in Old Folsom, and me and my celly, I was fresh off a fish roll. My celly was there. He had been off fish roll for a little while. For those of y'all that don't know, fish roll is kind of like an orientation unit. Old Folsom, if you ever seen like American Me, that's shot in Old Folsom. Blood In Blood Out is shot in San Quentin. Similar design, 5 tiers. Well, the 3rd tier is used as a receiving tier, like that's where all the new fish come, right? And then eventually they get kicked out to the different tiers or different units. And back then it was three block. That was basically like the fish roll, and then I guess it had a couple like other regular tiers for other inmates who've been there for a while, whatever. So we end up getting into it with the CO. My celly gets into it with the CO. My celly just a knucklehead. He's a YA baby. For those of y'all that don't know what the hell that is, it's a youth authority baby. So the kids that come out of youth authority and they come to prison, they're a lot worse than just regular kids or regular people who commit crimes, in the sense that they're more they're coming from a place of being a knucklehead, always throwing hands with each other, always trying to fight, always trying to kick up dust, always trying to be with the activities, because that's what youth authority was basically about. I heard now it's getting a little watered down, but before that, that's relatively what youth authority stood for. So my celly gets into it with one of the COs. I can kind of hear him. He's in the little shower section. CO's telling him something. He's telling the CO something. I'm telling my celly, because I'm GP, I'm active. I'm telling my celly, like, hey, fool, kill game. Just come back to the house, come back to the cell. We was on the bottom tier. So he comes back to the cell and he's like, look, bro, I'm gonna call this fool out. And I'm like, you sure you want to do that? You sure you want to run this with a CO, bro? Because I'm gonna go in with you, bro. If, you know what I mean? He's like, he ain't giving me my boxers or something. It was something real trivial, something real. There was nothing that we couldn't figure out. Y'all see this car seat back here? Straight daddy life, huh? Anyways, it was something that could have been, figured out. But I felt like maybe my celly thought it was a respect issue, and me being loyal to a fault, I fell in line right behind him. Like, you know what, bro? I'm gonna ride with you, dog, but you better be down, bro. You better not bitch up. You better not, get scared and tuck your tail when they try to come up in here, because he had been boarding up the bars and everything, trying to barricade the bars, put the mattresses up, blah, blah, blah. So eventually they're like, look, we're going to need you to take all that stuff down. We're going to need you to remove everything. They start bringing all their little partners. They got the sergeant. They got the lieutenant. They got all these other COs all clouding our door, clouding in front of our cell. All this attention that you don't really even want in front of the cell, right? And he's like, and I'm telling him, like, look, bro, just when you go out, just take off on that fool. Like, just say, hey, I'm going to come out, and just take off on them. Because the COs was giving us kind of like, they was giving us some space, like, they wasn't like just straight up honest, like, hey, turn around, cuff up, or it's got to be like this. They were just like, come on, man, take this. The sergeant came, come on, man, take this down, man. You don't even want to do this, man. Let's just talk about it. So that was kind of them extending their hand to be cool. This is why I said, y'all be the judge on what you think, if we deserved it or we didn't deserve it, as far as my celly taking flight. So anyways, we take everything down. We start chopping it up through the bars, right? We just, we talking to this over there. It's the bar fronts to the cell. And we chopping it up, telling them, like, basically, like, I'm just like, hey, man. They're like, well, what are you tripping? Why are you all involved? Because I was just standing right there in the background. I'm like, hey, man, this is my celly. I ain't got nothing to say, you know what I mean? I'm just right here, So, the situation calmed down. The tension was gone. And they believed that everything was all good, right? They didn't understand the complexity of my celly's mind. He made a decision. He was going to stand by it. He felt disrespected by a CO. So he was going to stand by it. So he was like, hey, man, the sergeant was like, come talk to me. You know what I mean? We'll work all this out. At this point, we both hot because you can't have this kind of attention on you being a Southsider. You can't even, and you damn sure don't want to be going into no office with all these cops or nothing like that to talk. I think at the time we used to have a shadow just to go get a medical slip or turn a medical slip in. What a shadow was you had to have somebody with you, another homie, to verify and hear you every word that you're saying, because there was a lot of people at the time dropping kites via the medical slip and other forms like that. So there was the shadow policy, and that's really pretty much everywhere. I remember having one in the county jail. We had a shadow policy as well. So I already knew this shit wasn't gonna fly. I already knew my celly was not about to go to no office and start, bro, it's not gonna happen. So when the door opens, when they're starting to open the door, my celly looks at me. He gives me this weird look. Like, it's written all over his face that, like, it's like knowing you about to get your ass kicked, but you still take flight look. That's the look he gave me. Boom, he steps out of the cell, and the CO that had, like, disrespected him was further off to the left. So he pushed both the COs away, went through the middle, and started lighting up the other one. No CO. Their very first reaction was to all back up. No CO tried to reach out and touch him. So when he started getting off on them, he kind of backed up to the entrance of our cell, like, what's up? Come on. The first thing they do, come on, most of these COs, they're pussy boys. They're not trying to get physical. They're trying to pull the pepper spray out. So first thing they do, they all got the pepper spray out, and he's backing up to the cell. But the door is still open. This door ain't closed. And they start spraying. So when they spray, they're pushing inwards, because, once that pepper spray hits you, you start to fold. You start to cover up, So they're pushing him into the cell. And now they're getting physical because they done blinded him and choked him out with this pepper spray. So when they come in, I already got a whole thing of shampoo all over the floor. And it's sad. I know my old celly probably hates me to this day. He slipped and busted his ass so hard. But my thing still worked, because every CO that pushed in there slipped and fell right with him. And as soon as they slipped and fell right with him, I started I started hitting them. I started catching them. Just real quick, short with bow, 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 bow. They couldn't tell. In Old Folsom, those cells are so small and compact. They're kind of long, I guess you could say. But they're so, you can put one hand like this. If you ever seen like a Blood In, Blood Out, they got the part of the movie where Miklo puts his hand on the wall and like he goes like this. He can't even fully extend both arms. That's how tight and small it is. So they really didn't know what the hell. You got pepper spray all in the cell. You got hella COs all falling on the bottom bunk, on the floor. You got my celly. So it's just a situation. They don't know nothing. All they know is they're just starting to get creamed by somebody. Somebody's cracking them. Man, they turned their attention on me. Let me tell y'all, this is why I did not get no write-up. This is the real reason I should have got a DA referral. I should have went to court for this. The only write-up that I got was what did they give me? It wasn't assault on a piece of, what was it? I can't remember. It was nothing of a felonious case. It was no felony charge, which it should have been. They'll charge you for anything. I didn't see people tap their hand through the tray slot in the hole and they get charged something. The reason they didn't is because when they turned their attention, my celly kind of, I'm not going to lie, man, that's my boy. But he kind of weenied out, man. Once he slipped and they fell on top of him, he had the pepper spray, he was done. He was choking and gagging and he was done. Once they turned their sights on me, though, for being the guy responsible for hitting them, cracking open their ears and in the back of their head, oh, man. They drug my celly out of there, hand first, or feet first. They drug his ass out. They went back in the cell, closed the damn door behind them. At this point, I'm on the bottom bunk, right? And I'm doing one of those, like, bicycle kicks, like, angling up towards upwards. And I'm trying to just kick them back. They're both grabbing my feet. And the other ones are right, like, let me get that motherfucker. Let me get that motherfucker. You know, talking all that, you know, all that crap. Come in, drag me off of the bunk, start stomping me. Pepper spray all up in my eyes, all up in my nose, all up in my mouth. I can't breathe. At this point, I'm like, hey, that's good. We good. I'm having an asthma attack. We good. They're like, they're not having it. So they turn me over, pretend like they're going to cuff me up, grab my arm when it's bent behind my, because I'm turning around. I'm about to just cuff up. I can't breathe, man. I got snot. I got spit. I got lumps. They kicking my ass. I'm getting my ass kicked. So I'm about to just turn around and cuff up. Let's go to the hole. They take this arm and push it all. My hand from behind my back touched the top of my head and pop. Boom. This shoulder just straight. As soon as it happened, I was like, ah! I kind of low-key screamed, because anybody who's had a dislocated, dislocating something really hurts bad. It feels like they ripped it right out the socket. So yeah, I let out this scream, and they kind of knew, because they were like, all right, hurry up. That's good. You know, I was getting those punches, you know, to the back of my head, to the side of my face. I was all lumped up. But that's not the reason. After they kicked my ass and sprayed me, and one other thing that they did was they sat there with the pepper spray and sprayed up my whole pillowcase. And while they were kicking my ass, and this happened while I was cuffed up, one of the C.O.s comes and puts the pillowcase on my face with all that pepper spray, and it's holding it, and I'm screaming. Everything that went black is going white now. My whole vision, I'm about to tap. I'm going out. I'm seeing clouds. Jesus is welcoming me up. He said, just come, my son. You're done. Bam. They pulled me out. They started spraying my face with all kinds of, actually, you know what? They took me to the showers. Boom. And then, because at first they were like spraying my face with some kind of like disinfectant kind of thing that they had. And they drugged me to the showers, because when he did that thing with the pillowcase and he took it off, my face was full. My face was like the color of this hat. Bro, when you get sprayed with pepper spray, it's all orange. But my face was like the color of this hat. So they put me in a stand-up cage. This is where I got off as far as having to do anything. All these nurses and everybody's coming. They're all like, oh, they're mortified. Like when they see me, because it looked a lot worse than it actually was. I had blood all over my face. I had little gashes here and there, but it was all blood all over my face, mixed with the pepper spray, mixed with my arm, mixed with me like, you know what I mean? So I just looked like a guy who was pretty much on his way out, a guy who was pretty much dying to them. So the medical team came by, all the nurses came by, and they kind of like formed a line like, hey, well, what's the matter? What's going on? And the cops told the nurses, you guys all have to get out of here now. And the nurses said, well, we got to do our job. We have to do our job. We have to do a 1019 or 7219 or something like that, a medical sheet on them. And the CO says, no, you can do all that later. So once the nurses leave, and you know, the guy, the COs and everyone's like, the guy's boss comes, the sergeant's like, hey, you have to let the nurses see him. He's like, well, what do? We used excessive force. So while they were saying all that, while they were talking about what they were going to do with me, because after I was in handcuffs, that's the part. When I was on the tier in handcuffs, I was still getting my ass kicked. I was still getting brutalized by these officers while I was in handcuffs. I'm telling you the story kind of fast to speed it up. But my ass whipping took place inside. They contained and neutralized me, put some handcuffs on my shit, drugged me out to the tier, and kept socking me and punching me because them COs was mad at me. So they kept getting on top of me, cracking me, and I kept talking shit. I kept saying, you a bitch, you hit like a bitch, fuck you. But I was in a lot of pain. Your boy was going through it. So every nurse that was seeing that, one of them actually ended up coming out and said, hey, look, no matter what, I'm going to report this. I'm going to report this. If you don't let us do our job, I'm going to report the fact that you're telling us no. I'm going to report. She heard them talking about trying to clean up the situation because they took it way too far. You can neutralize an inmate and beat his ass when you cell extract them, but you can't carry on the ass whooping. And this is what they do in a lot of state prisons. They whoop ass. So the lieutenant comes to me and he's like, later on when I'm all cleaned up, and he's like, hey, so was there an excessive amount of force used against you today? And I said, no, there wasn't an excessive force. I said, but look, at the end of the day, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. So how are we going to do this? Because I just want to go back to my cell and I just want to program. He said, look, you ain't going to be going back to your cell. He's like, but I can give you my word. If no excessive force was used here, you'll be going to the hole, but you'll be getting out soon. It won't be a big time. It won't be a DA referral. As soon as he said it wouldn't be a DA referral, I jumped right on it because I like to be in the hole anyways. This was my worst cell extraction because that's what it's called. In a form, it was like a half-assed one because they kind of opened the door and let him walk out, so they didn't really extract this, but it ended up in the cell. But this was the worst one because I have scars to this day inside my lips. They did a number on me. And you know, the reason I'm bringing this up today is because in prisons all around the world, in California too, they whoop ass and everybody's in on it. They don't care. They abuse, they brutalize. But like I said, y'all make the decision. Do you think we had that ass whooping coming? Do you think my cellie taking flight, making them think everything was neutralized, that things were calm, and then taking flight on them? Do you think we deserved to get that ultimate beatdown? What am I guilty of? Yeah, I threw shampoo on the floor so they could slip. Yeah, I started cracking the shit out of them once they started beating up on my cellie. Yeah, that's my worst transgression. Do you think that I deserve that ass whipping? Because at the end of the day, all those beatdowns, yeah, they made me stronger, but they all started taking a toll up here. It starts to give you anxiety. Every time I would hear keys jingle, I would hear tray slots open, or I'd hear a CO walking or whatever, I would get this weird anxiety. Not that I couldn't break his ass on the one-to-one. Yeah, I could break his ass. But it was more of an anxiety, like, I just don't like hearing keys. I don't like hearing I don't like this authority right here because they're at the total advantage. Now, not every CO's that way. But man, even the cool ones, if you cross them, they will utilize that authority, that power, and their position to hurt you real bad. To physically hurt you real bad. So that's all I got to say about that. Hope you guys enjoyed this story, man. It was a trip, man, going through this whole cell extraction. They gashed the homie, right, from Pomona. He was my homie from Pomona. They gashed his head, broke out his tooth. Not his front tooth, but the one right next to it. Broke out his tooth. They did a number on him, and he was going home soon, too. But anyways, much love, much respect. Y'all, thanks for getting me to 30K. It's so much love, so much respect to you guys. Savage Studios about this bitch. Doses.